Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my first, maybe my last video. JK. But I created this video because obviously I wanted to tell you my educational journey and kind of the purpose of me creating this channel. As you can see from the introduction, I don't know what it's going to be, but I do know what I want it to be. So let's get into it. I want to trying to find my diplomas, but I can't. I really have it. It's weird, but I don't have any of my diplomas on my wall. But yes, let me segue into my educational journey of how I went from not being able to walk my high school graduation to now in my first year of my master's program at a university. So, trying to summarize, I don't know, a couple years of my life. I did not walk my high school graduation, so funny not funny story, but I skipped a lot of classes my senior year of high school, didn't show up to class, and strongest suit was not math, so I graduated with a C in statistics. Trust me, I had no idea what I was doing in that class. I don't even know how I got a C. Long story short, my Asian parents were not happy and they never found out I got the C, minus, needless to say, I never showed them that report card. Anyways, I was so stressed out my senior year. I was doing everything, don't know why. I was on dance, I was like doing multiple positions in different clubs. I was an art student, I was in dual credit, I was in AP. I thought I could do it all. I couldn't. I crashed out multiple times senior year. A lot of people didn't see it, but the people who knew me, at this point, I crashed out so much, I couldn't even tally it. I probably beat y'all. But anyways, so skipping school, couldn't walk my high school graduation, and I was like, I have no idea what I want to do in my life. I did know though, as a senior, being, I don't know, 18 years old, I was like, I really like sociology, and one of my teachers who was really cool, me and her were like this. I would skip class, which is funny. I skipped class to go to another teacher's class because I couldn't let my parents, get that call of, hey, your daughter's skipping school. So I had strategically skip a class I didn't like, which is economics, to go to a class I liked, which is sociology, which is weird. I don't know. Academics. But I realized I didn't have the SAT scores, the ACT scores. I did have the TSI scores, but everything else was like, it was not looking good. Like, my plan was to go to a four-year university after after high school, and I didn't. So yeah. But what I did do is that I still wanted to go to college. I didn't, didn't know I didn't want to work, to be honest. So I went to community college. I end up still working because I realized I need money to pay tuition. And so I went to community college. I worked in retail for, I think, about 3 years. Worked in retail for 3 years, and I moved to a different city and did finish off my 4 years at the University of Texas at Austin. I shoot my shot. I didn't know if I was gonna get in, but the schools that I applied to, I got in all of them. And so, I went from C to statistics to getting accepted. When you put your mind to it, I guess it actually works. But I finished my 4-year university, and I got my first bigger job, I guess you would say. And I was like, I don't know what else to do. Like, I could continue this job, or get another job, or I don't know. I was literally like, I don't know what to do, because I see myself doing the same things over and over again with this job, and I felt like maybe I've reached a cap, and I wanted to learn more. As I guess being in education, I was like, there's always a part of me that wants to keep learning. Like, I do random stuff. I talk to random people. I talk to everybody, like AI, tech, business, sociology majors, social work majors. Like, I talk to everybody. I don't know. I'm interested. And so I was like kind of in a dilemma of like what to do with my life. And I saw people with their master's and PhD that were kind of surrounded by me in the education field in the schools I was at. And so I started asking them like, hey, like, how did you know that you wanted to do your master's, or how did you know, what was your educational journey like to get your PhD? And so I was genuinely curious because I was like, I'm the type of person that like likes to ask and research before I bite the bullet, which is good thing and not a good thing at the same time, because you know, too much hesitancy and inaction, you don't do any action. And so anyways, after I got my little information log in my head and my notes, I was like, okay, I am interested in getting my master's. And so what I did was I applied to so my first time I applied to 3 schools, and I got rejected, y'all. Like, I don't have the video. Like, I was trying to recreate those videos of like, oh, we got accepted, and you know, like everyone's cheering, and I'm by myself, by the way, at the time. You know, I was moved away from my family, like self-reliant, maybe hyper-independent, but you know. And so when I took the video of myself and all of my videos got rejected, I mean, all of my colleges that I applied to for my master's got rejected back to back. I obviously did not post that on my Instagram. That stayed in drafts forever, and no one's gonna see that. I think I deleted it, to be honest. I was like, bye. But that didn't stop me, because you know what? I was like, you know what? I have a full-time job. It's paying me good, you know, like I do it next year or something. So, cause it opens up. It opens up December, like it not opens up, but the submission is due December 1st. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it next year. I'm gonna apply again to my master's program next year, but let's do it strategically. And so strategically, I mean actually do my research and everything. And so what I did was I searched up the schools that I wanted to go to within my state, and I was like, okay, like realistically, what's the budget? Like, I'm gonna move, what the finance is gonna look like, and also the major. And so I had to like really like sit down with myself and stop asking people like advice, because you know, like when you go for your master's and PhD, it's like you're going to something more specific, if that makes sense. Like I'm a master's higher education student, and so if I get my PhD soon, like it might be like educational policy. And so you kind of hone in onto what you want to do your research on. And so yeah. And I did my research, looked up the professors. I don't know if it's the Virgo in me, but I did a whole presentation with people's pictures and their research. I didn't put the research paper in the presentation. I'm not that extra. But I was like, I got rejected 3 times, so let's not make that happen again. So I did a whole presentation on the different colleges that I was applying to, you know, paid my 70-something bucks for each school. It costs money to apply, weird. But anyways, I spent like a bunch of money applying to these schools, and so when I got accepted into the one I wanted, which was the University of Houston, I got it, y'all. I'm finished with almost my first year, so I have a year, 2 semesters under my belt of being a master's student. And the first semester was pretty hard, not gonna lie. Like, I went from working like 2 to 3 years out of college and never looked at an essay again, never did math since high school. I was like, I'm working now, I don't need to learn anymore. And so I didn't really learn after I graduated my bachelor's degree. And so going back into being, you know, working and being a full-time student, I had to adjust. But this semester, one good thing was, you know, I had to put my A game on, because, you know, this is what happens when you don't read the fine print of stuff. I got a scholarship last fall, and I didn't realize until the second semester, you know, this is being full transparency, you know, I'm outing myself right now. Full transparency, I didn't realize the scholarship I was on said, if your GPA is less than a 3.0, we'll literally stop giving you the money. And I didn't make bad grades my first semester. I made like 2 A's and 1 B, which is still pretty good to me. Remind you, I made C's in high school, so this was pretty good. But obviously, I don't want to lose the money that the university has given me, so I did everything from like printing out the readings, because I can't read on my computer for some reason. I just can't. I can't annotate, I can't remember. So I literally have to print out all the readings, put it in a binder, and then annotate it. And that's worked for me. So far, knock on wood, so far I have all A's, which is great. And I work. And yeah, I mean, work-life balance, I don't know who she is, you know? Some weeks I'm just like, yeah. But that's my educational journey so far, from high school, community college, bachelor's, and then work in progress, but I am in my master's program. And so, with that being said, that is my educational journey. What I see, because a lot of people ask me, I think a lot of people, I mean like friends and professors and people in my circle, they're like, what are you gonna do after you finish your master's? Or after your master's, you wanna do your PhD, but like, what's the end goal? And honestly, I tell them, I don't know. Like, I have a goal in mind, don't know where life is gonna take me, don't know what networks I'm gonna make and continue making over the years. But what I have envisioned is that if I do go all the way to my PhD, my doctorates, I want to become a professor. And a lot of people ask me what I want to teach. I'm like, no idea, but probably something in education if I'm majoring in education. And I'll leave it at that, because I have a lot of ideas circling around, and I'll figure it out along the way, you know? As long as my school is getting helped by scholarships and I have the will to keep going, that's all it takes. But yeah, that is it. I am going to, you know, I can't even English, but I'm going to create more educational content on this channel. So my purpose is to create probably these types of videos where I'm giving you guys update on my life. I'm thinking of doing like educational content, like a going to college series, like because I'm first generation, so content on how to create like your FAFSA, like where to look for scholarships, like orientation, all that stuff. How to sign up for classes, maybe. I don't know if you guys are interested in that, but I remember signing up for my classes. No one helped me. I helped myself. I was literally in somebody's random dorm to use their Wi-Fi. I don't know, I met someone in orientation. I'm literally crying with this laptop, like, I have no idea what I'm doing, because all the classes that I wanted to take were gone. They were booked out by everybody, and the crash out I had was anyways. But yeah, I'm going to create a going to college series and a financial literacy series, something about probably like beginner stocks, because I am not very good at stocks, but I am learning as I'm going. So I'm going to teach y'all what I am learning myself, because I wish I had all this content and someone kind of like a mentor to help me in high school. I didn't find a mentor until like way later, until like after I finished my bachelor's, and I've achieved so much because of getting guidance and help. And so big reason number one, before I tell you, I already told you what I'm gonna do, but the big motivator for me to create this YouTube channel and putting myself back on the interweb, making a digital footprint of myself again, is that I wanna create content to not only help myself, but help students and college students, and I don't know, anyone out there who needs this random advice, this unsolicited advice. You know, take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, you're trusting a random person on the internet to tell you what to do with your life, which I'm not trying to do. But yeah, so hopefully the content that I create in the future will help you. And yeah, you know, it's very awkward outro videos. But yeah, bye y'all, because I can continue to yap forever. Don't know what my next video is gonna be about, but y'all will see. Bye.